Donna? Donna freaking Tartt? Hey, hi, hello, how are you? I'm Pia. Yes, it's true, I'm going to be reading The Secret History. Oh, it's still upside down. Like, why can I not figure that out? Okay. I will be reading this from start to finish. This video is going to be full of spoilers and my live freaking reactions. This is a wild ride. I'm filming this post reading it, so you are in for a treat, let me just tell you that. Obviously this is my first time reading it. I really am happy that I filmed this experience. I'm so happy I read it, so like we'll see. Lots of mixed emotions going on, lots of twists, lots of turns. It's a wild ride of a vlog of a book, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let's go. Alrighty, so I'm starting The Secret History today. If I look a little, I'm just forewarning you because I just finished the book like literally not even 2 minutes ago and I was crying, so you'll see it in my wrap up. I'm starting The Secret History today. Here she is. This is the second copy of this book that I bought because I bought one and it was also used. This is used time, and then I gave it to my mom and she somehow lost it. Like, how do you lose a full-on book? I don't know, only her. Anyways, we still love her. But yeah, so I had to buy it again because I was like, I want to read it. That's why I bought it in the first place. Anyways, here's my history with The Secret History. Like I said, there's going to be spoilers in this video. So if that's not your vibe, if that's not your jam, if that makes you uncomfortable, makes you salty, head on out. We'll see you in another video. I would recommend my wrap up because I'll give you a little review and it won't have spoilers. I have read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I really enjoyed that book. I read that back in high school and I just lent it to my dad because he really wanted to read it, I believe. So that's the only Donna Tartt I've read. Like, when I was reading that, my like English teacher, my favorite English teacher, if she's watching this video, I love you to death, recommended I read Donna Tartt's other book, which is Little Friend. I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong. But anyways, this is kind of like the cult classic. This is like the book I think of when I think of Dark Academia. It's basically the only book that I feel like I picture like lots of like dark mulberry lipstick, like black tights, combat boots. This is like what I picture. Like sitting in a dark wooded library is what I've got going on. I like am not that aesthetic. Like I don't have an aesthetic. Here's my best synopsis. This is my preliminary synopsis. Ready? This centers around a group of very pretentious teenagers who are into Shakespeare, and then someone dies, and that's what I've got for you. The Little Friend. I was right. Okay, I was fucking right. What am I expecting from this book? Well, I'm expecting a lot of like annoying characters that I won't necessarily like. Like, I don't think they're gonna be very likable people, and just a wild ride. I'm very excited about this. I feel like I keep seeing those videos, they're like, but you haven't read the big three, and I was like, this is always on those videos of the big three, and I haven't. You're right. So I'm going to start this right now. I'm actually watching some sprints with How to Train Your Gavin, or Gav. I do fortunately also have the audiobook out for my library, which is going to be a big saving grace because this is a long book. And I've been reading a lot of, not longer books in length, or longer books in length. I haven't been reading a lot of like lengthy books necessarily, but I have been reading a lot of kind of like things out of my comfort zone, and I would probably classify this as something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, though I have been really enjoying my lit fic. I'm in my lit fic era. I am also going to annotate it. I'm really excited about it. So I gotta grab my little post-it, guys. Other than that, I'm gonna start this bad boy. Sprint for the last 2 minutes of the sprint. What is this lit fic thing of not using quotation marks for quotes, like for dialogue? I swear to God, I learned this in school that you're supposed to use quotation marks. What the fuck? Actually, I'm finding that this is really cool because it's actually read by Donna Tartt. Like, look at that. Fucking killer. I don't think I could ever read my own book for an audiobook because I would probably, people would probably like not listen to it, but good on her. Good on her. Anyways, new sprint. Just me casually listening to Alanis Morissette. Don't mind me. Hello, it's only a couple hours later. I've changed because I'm going to go on a run. You can't see my shirt. So now's a good time for a run. I'm going on a sunset run, which I have done literally once, and it was like the most euphoric experience of my life. But I'm just like one of those people that like gets up early and runs, so I haven't done it since, so I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna time it right, which is interesting, but anyhow. I did read my book, let's talk about it. Okay, so I got to page 60. 10% into this bitch. I see what people are saying. I get it. Like, I get that it is very pretentious. Like, I mean, genuinely, I don't want to like formulate my thoughts already because I'm like, okay, I'm 60 pages in it. Yeah, there's obviously a lot more book left. But I can say, like, I just don't know how much I'm loving all of the like classroom stuff. Like, I don't know if I really need detailed like back and forth of all this stuff because it really is just going over my head. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, some of it, like, I mean, I get the gist, but, like, I haven't read Plato. I don't know what's going on. So, it's interesting. It's making me feel a little dumb, which I feel like is this intention, because I don't think Donna Tartt wrote this for the type of people that are, like, the characters in the book. I don't think that at all. But I do think that she wrote it in such a way that it's, like, it is like the I thought that was slowing down and I was about to be like, it's the apocalypse. What's going on? I wrote it in such a way that it's like, you know, this is how they would have told the story. I mean, it's told basically, well, from the perspective of, I'm gonna call him Richard. Is that his name? I said his name how many times and I don't remember. I swear I'm good at reading. Yeah, it's Richard. I'm fucking right. Okay, anyways. And there's 5 other bitches and one of them is gonna die. Bunny's gonna die. I forgot I was doing spoilers. Okay, Bunny's dead, like at the beginning of this, and he's like, this is how it all fucking began. It's an episode of I Didn't Do It. It's interesting. I mean, like, I think that kind of way of starting a story can really work in a writer's favor. Saying, you know, like, this is the big thing that happened, and I'm telling you right out of the gate, so now you have to stay and watch it happen, so you don't really have to grip them from the beginning, and I think that's an interesting way to kind of frame the story. I find her writing to be very like Gatsby-esque. Like, it feels very like Fitzgerald-y, just in the rhetoric, in the diction. And I really don't know what time period this is set in. Like, I have no idea. Like, it came out in the 90s and I know it's not set in the 90s. Unless it is, and I'm just like, these just are really old-timey speaking and acting people. I could be wrong. I'll look it up later, probably. There are also quotations in the rest of the book. It's just in the prologue that there's not. Also, my audiobook is slightly different than my book, which, like, I don't fucking know why. I don't know. Like, there's some lines that are just not in this shit, and I'm confused. This bitch doesn't look abridged to me. Like, I'm confused. Okay, so it's not a first edition, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't fucking matter. Why is it different in the audiobook? Like, I honestly... I'm just slightly like, but I'm like, is it just Donna Tartt trying to fuck with me? Has she like planned on that? I don't know. It's weird. Like, I wouldn't think that they would get rid of lines. Anyway, very odd. I wouldn't say I'm loving it so far, but I would say I'm interested to a certain extent. But I do think that her books take a long time to get into. As I think I said, The Goldfinch took me a really long time to get through because it took me a long time to get into, and then I was, you know, going along. I had to stop watching The Prince to make dinner. Had some scallops, it was a good time. I'm gonna go for my run. And then probably after I shower, I will get back to this book. If no one is sprinting, I will probably watch old sprints because motivation here is like so lacking. Like, I'm self-sufficient. I know I am, but self-sufficient? What? I'm self-sufficient. Self-sufficient. This is my brain right now. My brain is having a lot of trouble keeping up with my mouth. I know that they like the way I talk in a video, and it made me really happy. My parents watch my videos and they're like, you talk too fucking fast. Like, no one's gonna fucking pay attention to you. Not in those words, obviously, but like, I don't know. I just talk fast. Maybe if Bunny talked faster, he would have lived. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. But also like, Bunny, the fact that he's named Bunny, and I was like thinking about Bunny by Mona Ward, which I haven't read. They, I know, like call each other Bunny, and I was like, is this a crossover? In Montana, sweet life on deck. Don't mind me. But I'm now 94 pages into The Secret History, and I think I'm liking it more. There's some like spooky shit, and I'm like, I'm getting almost like the inkling, the little like hints of, what is that book? Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, right? Yeah. Which I read forever ago. God, I read that when it came out. Like back when I was doing sponsorships, like it was so long ago. So I'm getting that kind of vibe. I'm like, is it like, but I'm also like, is it like Hocus Pocus? Like, why is that where my head's at? But anyways, that's the vibes. It's like 9:30 and I'm tired. I ran 2 miles. Listen, I was a little bit early for the sunset, but it was still a friggin' blast. Ran really fast. It was a good time. And I'm just really tired. So I will probably read at least a good chunk of it tomorrow, if not the rest of it. I don't know what else I have planned tomorrow. I do, actually. I'm definitely intrigued to see what those other elements are of this book, rather than just like a bunch of like pretentious little babies being annoying. So we'll see. This is what we've got. Documentary, book outline, book I'm supposed to be reading, and snacks. Welcome to procrastination. Hello vlog, is this not the best angle? Am I even in focus? God, I'm so sorry editing Pia. Was there something I want to do? Hello my friends. I am reading this book, but I do need to update you. I'm like 165 pages through it, and I'm literally just sitting down to read for the day. Last night, I read yesterday. But anywho, I need to update you that they murdered someone. And what's interesting to me is that I honestly didn't think there was going to be like another murder element to this book besides like the original, the murder of Bunny, like that's mentioned on the first fucking page, essentially. I didn't think there was gonna be like more. So I'm very interested. Like I was getting, what vibes was I getting from this book originally? I was getting House of Anubis vibes. I was just rewatching some of House of Anubis, my favorite show. Like, mind you, like this is like love, but it was giving those vibes like, okay, we're solving like a mystery, we are, you know, there's clues, there's whatever. That's like what I thought was gonna happen, like a kind of inheritance games kind of sort of thing. And now I'm just like a little bit more confused than anything. Like they're like, oh yeah, we were just like finna like flee the country, and I was like, what? I don't know. I feel like it needs to be more interesting than that, and like I just don't have the info. So I'm very excited to find out why they murdered someone. Yeah, they're weird people. So far my favorite is Henry though. Like seems like a sweetums. I mean, he did murder someone, but still. That's my vibe. I need to get back to sprinting. The weird thing is, I am consuming a lot of like cultish content. Apparently, I didn't mean to be reading this book about a Loki cult. Like, I mean, they did some crazy shit and then like literally beat a guy to death just because they were like really like high, and they were like starving. They weren't high, but they were like starving and like also having sex. I don't really understand. But anyways, my boy Henry, he did kill him. I don't love him so much anymore. He's kind of a little bit intense for me. I don't know who my new fave though is, because I don't know if I like anyone. Explain. So we'll find out. Like, what if I just like Bunny at the end and then he's gonna die? Like, what's gonna happen? He's literally just like Richard. And I think that's so funny that there's that parallel of like, anyway, a lot of things in their personality and things that they do. But like if they did one thing different, they would be the other person. Like, you know what I mean? Like Bunny has no money and whatever, but he does, you know, he doesn't change. Instead, like, goes the complete opposite direction. Whereas like Richard doesn't flaunt anything because he doesn't have anything, but still continues the lie. It's very interesting. I am a little over halfway through The Secret History and my bookmark does not show where I am because I was actually listening to some of the audiobook while I took a bath. New running shoes really are killer. Tried my new running shoes today. Thought I broke them in by doing a little bit walking in them for the last week or so. And very painful. My legs were like, no. My heart was like, keep going. My legs were like, no, please do not. You will die. I'm finding this a little bit boring. So now that we have like gotten to, I think we're on book 2, which didn't know it was split up, but anyway. Bunny is dead, right? Which we know from the beginning, but now he's like, you know, present timeline, basically dead. I'm finding it a little bit boring. I think what would be interesting is, you know, like after this has happened, like I would really like to see more of like each character's kind of like process of like grief and guilt, because obviously this was a guy that was like not cool at all. Like he was actually a dick. I don't know if I said in one clip that I liked him. I think I was thinking of like Charles is kind of chill, but yeah, I mean, especially like the other, like besides Richard, like the other group of friends, like they now have like 2 people's blood on their hands, and like I feel like I would really like to see how they're grappling with it and more of that, because I think that's a really interesting exploration that could be happening. Yeah, I'm like just at the part where it's literally like the day after, I think. So that is what I'm like looking forward to, because other than that, like I don't know where else the story's gonna go. Obviously they're all kind of very worried about like what's gonna happen to them, if anyone's gonna find out, and kind of trying to cover up this big secret. I am not actually minding the audiobook. I thought I was really gonna not enjoy it, but I think once I realized this is like letting this just be like a story rather than like granting so much power to each word, I have been enjoying it a little bit more. But I also kind of like, I'm not very sure. Yeah, I just want something else to happen, like something that will change the dynamic. I just hope that this will like change stuff, you know, because I'm getting a little, it's getting a little bland. Anyways, I've been reading it and watching sprints. I think I might have to just rinse my hair because it's really bugging me. Yeah, it's like 9 o'clock, so I'm probably gonna go to bed soon. What am I reading right now? What the fuck just happened? Why did what? I'm just bobbing along, reading this book going, you know, it's kind of boring, like not a lot is happening. And what? What the fuck? Why is no one saying anything about this? Donna? I swear I have 2 brain cells. 2 working brain cells at this point. This book quickly has devolved into just a love square, like a really creepy and kind of honestly manipulative and fucked up love square. Is that what this book is now? I have 100 pages left and it's like 2 people are in love with Camilla. No, 3 people are, oh, it's 5 people. It's a star. 3 people are in love with Camilla. 4 people have kissed Camilla. Sorry, it's not all about Camilla. She's just a female and it's easier to track it that way. And Francis has kissed all of them? Like, and 2 of them are siblings. What? And what is happening? Like, honestly, I'm trying to like understand, because I feel like the whole book really could have like talked about these types of things. Like, it could have had these undertones, and maybe like it'll come up on like a reread maybe. But like, if this was the book from the start of like these little subtle undertones about like these relationships, and now just at the end we're like, well, now that the murder shit is over, let's just talk about how everyone is either screwing or in love with everyone, and 2 of them are siblings. I don't know about that. I'm very confused. Donna? I don't know if I like any of these people. I don't think I'm supposed to. I knew I wasn't going to. But the way, like, the funniest thing is Richard is the main character, right? And he, like, is able to take all of this. He's like, oh yeah, you killed someone? He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill someone? Oh yeah, you two are siblings and sleeping together? Okay. Like, not phased. The bitch is not phased. Like, what happened in his life that he is just so unfazed by murder and incest? You know what? To be honest, they are drunk at least 90% of the time, so maybe it's easier to understand. I couldn't tell you, but like, I'm very confused. I apologize if I look at all a little bit disheveled. I just had a little bit of a panic attack. Completely unrelated to this house, but let me take my bookmark out. But I did just finish it. Let's talk about it because it's gonna help me with my mood. I don't want to sound stupid in this review. Like, it's actually like kind of weighing on me a little bit because I don't know if I exactly enjoyed this book. I don't know if I necessarily liked the reading experience. I don't know if there was like, I don't know if like I want to like think about this book a lot, but was it a good book? You know, in some sense, it's gonna make me think about it for a long time, and like there's lots of different kind of details and intricacies that I'm sure that are very like thought-provoking and very are gonna take a lot of time to like process, I feel like. But I don't think I necessarily enjoyed my time reading it. I think one of the only things that I think really bothered me about this book, obviously there's some like gross weird stuff going on, like I was saying, like those were my live reactions. This is like almost like a horror book. I feel like it's like very much like teetering on the edge of that kind of psychological thriller kind of vibe, but I think because it's so slow paced and it's so fraught with exposition and with like overwriting that it doesn't feel like that in some ways, but I do feel like it does kind of have those vibes. Like, but anyway, so like my only real problem with this is the pacing. I do feel like it had me for a while there. You had me for a minute there, you know, but there was a good like chunk in like the second third, maybe. Let's like make it into thirds. I would classify it as the different deaths if I was doing 3 acts. Useless, unimportant. Okay, so I do think like the second third of this book wasn't entirely interesting to me. I feel like once we were setting up this whole thing that like we already knew Bunny was dead, and then it just kind of went crazy. I feel like the last third was such a juxtaposition for the rest of the novel. There were so many things that I felt, like I said, verged on kind of like horrific, gross things, you know, like we were talking about like how we love murder and like how we were like feeling really cute about murdering people, and I was like, what? But I do think it's really interesting. I think Henry's character is the most interesting character, but I also think that I think Donna Tartt did a really good job with the characters. I think that all of them have such interesting similarities and they're so comparable. Like, they're so easy to almost not, I wouldn't say use interchangeably, but I think that they just are so similar. Like I was saying in the beginning, I was like, Bunny is very similar to Richard, which is why I found it so interesting that he was gonna end up dead, right? And then I found there were differences, and then I was seeing this like kind of dynamic between kind of like Henry and Charles are very similar people as well. They're kind of oddities and they're like neuroses and certain things like that, and then how Henry was comparing himself to Richard. I think that they're all very similar people because they're all like, they all in some ways are like narcissists. So I think that character is the strongest thing definitely in this book because of the pacing, because there's so much of we are sitting around, we are drinking, we're eating. A lot of the information is conveyed through dialogue, whether or not that's like literal dialogue or like we're having this conversation, let me sum up the conversation. What would I rate this book? Like, I don't think I've ever read a book like this. I mean, I've been comparing it to House of Anubis, The Inheritance Game. I think that it had elements of things that I'm familiar with, but it went together in such a strange way, like genuinely like strange. You know, it goes back to that idea of like the psychological aspects of this book of like, I don't know why, I personally, like, I don't know why there's a literal line in this book about Richard. He's with Camilla. It's when Camilla comes back. I don't think he hasn't seen her in a while. She's living at the hotel or whatever, and she is in his room, and he like, there's a line, and I had to read it a couple times because like he says he literally considered R-wording her, and I was like, this is the most out of character, gross, like, why, what? Like, I think that there are parts of that as well, and there's such like unexplained, horrendous ideas and notions in this book, which I don't know how to explain. Like, I personally I can't explain that. I don't understand the like incestuous things, a lot of the things, so like I don't personally get that, but then again, like, was the ending kind of too easy for like Henry to die? Because I feel like in some ways I saw it coming. I was like, this is like really the only way out, and I feel like he just had this downward spiral. You very much saw him as Bunny in some ways. Like, all these characters were so easily like able to like just withdraw into themselves, like at like the most minor, and not the most minor inconvenience considering the stakes of this book, but like at most things they would just be like, we're not, like, I'm gonna spend some alone time. But like how these hoes like did school is beyond me. Although Richard was the only one to graduate and like go on and do things. What? Like, how were they doing? I feel like their studies also make like no sense. Like their obsession, because I don't feel like it's a joint obsession with this Greek culture. I feel like it was mostly Henry, like this lunatic, essentially. And everyone else, I didn't fully understand why they were studying Greek and why they were like so much into this little culty guy. This was also like mostly just like 1 year. Like Richard had like the most whirlwind time in his first year of school here. I still don't have a rating. I haven't settled on a rating here. In some ways I want to say like 2 stars, in some ways I want to say 3 stars. I feel like 3 stars is my biggest cop-out. For most books I just can't settle a rating on because it's like a good middle ground. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed it. I think that there are elements that I would have enjoyed if it had been executed differently, and I think that's where I'm at right now. Donna's a fucking scary hoe. Like, do not cross this bitch. Do not. I'm like scared. Like, she came up with this. Is she okay? Have we checked on her since, when did this come out, in the 90s? But Goldfinch came out in 2013. I just can't believe she wrote The Goldfinch after writing this book. This makes, what a 180. I mean, yeah, it kind of centers around a little bit of a crime, and there's like a little bit of drug use. There's some common little bit, like little threads like you could kind of do, but like, maybe I gotta reconsider The Goldfinch. Maybe I gotta reevaluate that one because I really liked that book. But I don't see how this is the same. This is the same actor. Wow, I know words. You know, I'm doing so well for myself right now. I just can't believe that. I can't believe she wrote that. I gotta read The Little Friend. And I think that came out in between them. So maybe that did it. Actually, let me look it up. Let me not just talk out of my ass like normal. I actually found that I liked physically reading those. I think it actually went faster than the audiobook. No offense to Donna, who read the audiobook. I feel like she was doing her best. Also, oh my god, one of my favorite things. So I have a love-hate relationship with like author drama on like Book Talk, especially because I find it very funny. But also sometimes it gets me concerned like in my own work of writing, but I think that's also very valid, and I think it's really like eye-opening in some ways. But I found it so funny that there's a lot of talk, at least right now, about books by non-POC authors that are like writing either as a character or writing that a character says something in a different language, and that the words that they wrote don't exactly make sense in that language. And I feel like Donna did the best job in this because she was just like, in some cases, like in others, like she fully went at it and did the Latin or whatever the fuck. But I really liked, especially in the Greek, because I'm pretty sure like, actually I know nothing. Let me not make a claim. She was like, hey yo, what's up? He said in Greek. And I was like, why aren't other authors doing that? Like, why would you literally try to like learn like, you can't do that. Like, language is so, I don't know. I feel like I really respected that, especially with this discussion that I feel like is more of a new and nuanced discussion that's coming out recently about authors writing in languages that are not their own and that they're maybe unfamiliar with and that aren't maybe getting properly proofread. So that's very interesting. My mom is calling me. Hold on. I figured out what I was gonna say because I read it in a review. Oh, am I not in focus? What I was gonna say is that it's like murderous, Looking for Alaska, and I love Looking for Alaska. I'm giving it 2 stars. Now, maybe it's like a 2.5. I'm really bad at like half stars. I don't particularly enjoy them just because I use Goodreads and you can't physically like put in a half star. So I'm leaving it at 2. Maybe I'll change it like down the line. But like I said, I think that the concept is there. I think the characters are very interesting. It's very interesting as a character study. And I think the idea of this book is also interesting. I was looking it up and The Little Friend also seems to be like a creepy book with Donna. Anyway, I just think that it didn't pay off in the same way that I wanted it to. I think that it was a lot slower than I would have liked. But I do think, I'm glad that I read this book. Like, I think that now having read this book. I can seek out more books that are like it, but have the aspects that I wanted from it more so. Like, I really like the mystique of this book and like the, like I said, the characters, and I love stories about friend groups and things like that. And so I'm definitely going to look for more books like this. If you have like more recommendations for people who do like The Secret History, because I liked it. Like, I think I respect this book more than I actually enjoyed my time reading it. Like, I have lots of respect for people who enjoy this book. I by no means think that this is a bad book. I just don't think it was exactly for me, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted. So like, I know like is it called We Are Villains? I go in with the confidence and then I immediately take it back. If We Were Villains. Oh my god, whatever. If We Were Villains, I know that's supposed to be very similar, but in like a Shakespeare sense, which I think I will actually maybe enjoy more. Again, these are just like ideas. I also have heard this compared, or have heard Ace of Spades compared to this book. I was just on Katie Coulson's live and she was actually like, someone asked for recommendations based on The Secret History. So I think I'm gonna do some research into that. Maybe come back at you with like another Dark Academia reading books like this type of video, because I do think that it's out there. It's something that I think that I will enjoy, just differently. Like, I don't know. Since my dog is barking, we are going to have to wrap up this video here. I do hope you enjoyed it. I don't do a lot of dedicated one book reading vlogs, but I felt like this one deserved it, and it did take the cake for one of the most absurd things I've read this year. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to all the things, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!